The Oracle Network. The Oracle Network. Look deeper.
This is Dos Pequeños,
a funnier look at the paranormal in New Mexico.
with your co-ghosts, Eric Carter Landine.
And Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Oh, hey Eric, how you doing?
I am doing good. I am excited to be recording again. Wish we could get ahead, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
We'll get there. Work together. We'll get there.
I can't believe we just passed the halfway point of the season. That's kind of crazy.
We just did, didn't we?
Yeah. So we're going downhill now, getting ready to
Just like everything else.
yeah, just like every episode we've recorded.
But that's per par for 2020, so.
Yeah, speaking of going downhill, we should probably mention that this show is probably not appropriate for younger listeners. Not only does it deal with some scary stuff, we just have really bad mouths. We have bad language, and we just can't control it. So if you're underage, don't listen to this show. Or if you're offended by the F word, there's going to be a lot of those thrown in there.
Yeah, you may want to look elsewhere.
Might want to skip it. That's okay. We're not mad at you.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah. And we'll forgive you as long as you forgive us.
Fucking A, right.
So I think we have a few announcements.
We do have a few announcements.
Yeah. We have merchandise available. If you go to tpublic.com/Dos Pequeños, you can get a Dos Pequeños t-shirt or a The Government Doesn't Lie to Us t-shirt. There's mugs. There's phone cases. There's
keychains. There's stickers.
Yeah.
I mean, they have everything there.
There's face masks.
There's shirts for the kiddos.
Yeah. There's onesies.
You can tell them how they can tell everyone how the government doesn't lie to us.
And we're working on some more merch as well, but that should be out soon, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. I think one of the ones we're going to do is it's a ghost.
Yeah, we got to get that one designed.
We'll do that. We'll do a couple of others. And then if you think of anything that we've said that you thought is worth putting on merchandise, we will work on that. So let us know.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people already made a couple of memes with us. So maybe they could design a couple of shirts too or something.
Well, that'd be fun. Hey, if you design a shirt, I will happily buy you one of your own shirt.
There you go.
That you designed.
Maybe even two.
Ooh, maybe a mug.
Oh.
Getting crazy now. Oh, we should probably talk about Patreon, right?
Yes.
So we have a Patreon. If you don't know what that is, it is a way to support this shit show that we call a show. If you want to support, if you feel inclined, you can go to patreon.com/Dos Pequeños, and we will reward you for it with extra content, with early access to episodes. You'll get outtakes, which I think might be funnier than some of the episodes, just because some of that stuff was too racy to leave in. And then on the higher tiers, you get merchandise. You can get a sticker, and then the highest level, you get a t-shirt, which is kind of cool. So yeah.
Mine's coming in the mail.
I was wearing mine last night on Get Vocal. That was fun.
That was fun. We'll have to do that again.
Yeah, we'll talk about doing some live streams for you guys, especially because nobody can really get out right now anyway, so might as well do some stuff like that. Yeah.
That is true.
Cool. So what the fuck are we talking about today?
Eric.
What?
My man, it is good to see you again. Are you good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, how about you?
I'm good. It's I can't complain really,
Yeah.
Well, we're finally here.
Woo! Wait, where
are we? Well, that's a great question.
Are we back in 1947?
Well, we are in the land of one of the most famous cryptid creatures of all time.
Oh.
Okay, not Sam Squanchies.
Who?
Sam Squanchies.
Who dat?
No, Sam Bigfoot. No, and not Nessie and Elephant Butte.
I seen him.
That's a thing, right?
I seen her.
I, of course, am speaking of one of my favorites, the elusive and quite frightening Chupacabra.
Chupacabra!
Yes, the illustrious goat sucker. He likes to suck goats.
I mean, I guess if that's your thing,
Well, it is for the Chups. Okay. Chupacabra our little Chups. Okay. Well, Chupacabra quite literally means goat sucker. Chupa means to suck, and cabra means goat sucker. It is a cryptid and legendary in this part of the country.
It just sounds much cooler when you say Chupacabra instead of goat sucker. Like
Goat
it just
sucker.
Chupacabra sounds a little bit more menacing to me. Goat sucker.
Goat sucker doesn't sound menacing to you.
Sounds like a pervert.
It could be so menacing in so many different ways. I don't even.
It is definitely legendary. The folklore of the Chupacabra seems to have started in Puerto Rico in the 90s. All awesome stuff started in the 90s, right? No.
Saved by the Bell?
Slap bracelets?
Slap bracelets. Jams. Did you have some jams?
Yep. Parachute pants.
Jams. Parachute pants. Hypercolor.
The fucking mullet.
I think the mullet came out probably in the 60s or something.
Talk about legendary. Yeah, but it really came into its own in the 90s. It really did.
It's true.
Yeah. What else was there?
It's coming back too. It's coming back.
It is coming back. Thank you.
I've been seeing a lot of people rocking that. It's the quarantine cut, I think.
Thanks to the Tiger King.
Yeah. Oh, that too. I didn't even think about the connection there.
Well, that's at least where one of the first sightings occurred. At least the first
Tiger King.
Yeah, at the sanctuary.
It was Carol Baskins.
Timely humor, you guys. Timely humor.
Timely humor.
We're here to provide you the Monica Lewinsky jokes, the Pee Wee Herman jokes.
We did do that, didn't we?
Well, I took it out.
Oh, did you?
I took it out, yeah. Honestly, I have a habit of doing that, like really old jokes. Anyway, the 90s was when one of the first documented sightings of El Chupacabra occurred. The reason it was named this was because of the way the creature allegedly attacks and drinks the blood of different livestock, which of course includes goats. Many people who claim to have seen this being or seen the effects of this being claim that the animals that they come upon will have 2 puncture marks on their neck or their stomach.
2 or 3, right? I think
2 or 3, and then be drained completely of blood. I mean, if I saw that would freak me out probably.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. The people that have been lucky enough to witness this creature are from all over the world, from Puerto Rico to as far north as Maine and as far south as Chile. And of course, even here in New Mexico. But they've also been spotted even further away in places like Russia and the Philippines. Unfortunately, most claims are brushed off as unproven or unsubstantiated due to a lack of evidence. And most people seem to think that this creature is just misidentified and really nothing more than a pupper suffering from mange.
So what does this little bastard look like? Well, let's talk about that. Most people say that it looks something like kind of like a reptile having tough and scaly grayish / green and kind of colored skin. Mm-hmm. And then some say that it has spines running down its spine or quills.
Like a porcupine?
Yeah, just on the spine. And the creature is usually around 3 to 4 feet tall and kind of hops around like a kangaroo, which makes me think I could take this guy.
Yeah. Also sounds hella made up.
Yeah, just kind of random. And it also has a beaver tail
and a pig nose.
It's the platypus of the cryptid world.
It's got cloven hooves.
Cloven hooves.
Could it be Satan? See, here we go. Timely humor.
There you go with that old ass joke. That was 3 episodes ago.
Oh, geez.
Others say that the Chupacabra is just a weird breed of wild dog. this description is that it has no hair or very little hair, a spinal ridge that really kind of protrudes, deep eye sockets, claws, and of course fangs. But they aren't like most predators at all. Instead of eating prey, they suck out the blood, like you said, and then even sometimes the organs, apparently through 3 holes that are kind of in the shape of a triangle.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, how do you get an organ out of a tiny little hole in the neck, though, or something? Maybe it's on the side.
That's weird.
But I guess it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of creeping me out a little bit. Like I said, the first attack that was reported and claimed to have been conducted by the goatsucker happened in 1995 in Puerto Rico, where 8 sheep were found dead. Each of the 8 sheep had 3 puncture wounds found on their chest areas, and apparently all the sheep were drained of every single drop of blood. A few months passed, and in August, an eyewitness came forward. Miss Madeline Tolentino said that she had seen the creature in the town of Canovanas, Puerto Rico. So what happened? Well, basically, more than 150 different farm animals and pets were found dead.
Damn. That's a lot of animals.
Yeah, that's
like overnight style?
I guess so.
Weird.
They were killed in the same fashion as the sheep, drained of blood, and found with puncture marks on their bodies. So then again, like I said, 1995, there were more killings. And at a time, there were so many killings that the local community thought that they were maybe attached to some satanic groups in the area. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned satanic panic? You remember satanic panic, though. Like, everybody was convinced that there were satanic cults out to get them. They were being ritualistically abused. I think there were even a lot of studies later that showed that this was just like a crazy form of groupthink.
The groupthink. That would kind of make sense. Yeah. I mean, we know that groupthink is real, and and that panic can easily. Well, look what just happened recently with toilet paper.
Right.
That was totally a groupthink, and right there, a great example of it.
So the entire island of Puerto Rico actually started having more and more killings of animals, and they all seemed to have the same circular wounds. And of course, they were all drained of blood.
That's a running theme.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know who came up with the actual term Chupacabra?
No.
Well, I do. That glorious title belongs to the comedian from Puerto Rico named Silverio Perez. And although there has been some dispute and speculation as another man claims that he was the first one to come up with the name, it is hard to know who is telling the truth. And honestly, it doesn't really matter who came up with it. Shortly after all these incidents occurred in Puerto Rico, reports started coming in from the south and worked their way all the way up to Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and of course here in our home in New Mexico.
Dun, dun, dun.
Eric.
Yeah.
Tell me a story.
Well, I found this story, and I love this user's I love this user's name.
I know. That's why I started laughing.
Wrong D's Nuts 69, which is basically the best Reddit username ever, and I'm a little bit mad that I didn't come up with it.
You know, he came up with that like when Reddit first came out too. He was like, "Oh, I got it."
Well,
he was just gonna do like D's Nuts 69, and then he was like, "Dang it, that's already been taken."
Yep.
Wrong D's Nuts.
Well, and this first sentence will make sense why his name is what it is. I am a 16-year-old boy. And this Yeah, exactly. And this happened to me when I was 8. I went to Mexico to visit my grandparents with my 2 brothers for the summer. It was good over in Mexico. We visited many places like the Aztec ruins and even tropical waters. My grandma took me to a little house that she grew up in when she was a child. It was pretty old and felt like it could collapse at any moment. We stayed overnight in a cabin. That was sweet. We set up a campfire and ate some s'mores. My grandparents and my brothers were telling some Mexican urban legends. They mentioned La Llorona, El Cucuy, and La Lechuza. They mentioned the Chupacabra. My parents always told me about the Chupacabra since I was 6 years old. My brothers were trying to scare me, and they did pretty well. It was bedtime. I went to sleep and dozed off. I was woken up in the middle of the night for no reason. I heard a strange noise outside, and I stupidly looked out the window. I couldn't remember much, but I saw a weird, skinny, hairless creature standing outside. I freaked out, and I hid under the blankets. I heard scratching noises all night and couldn't sleep. When it was morning, I woke up and went outside. I went to a tree and saw claw marks scratched on it. My brother saw it as well. My brother smelled something horrible, and we checked it out. We saw a dead deer with 2 punctures on its stomach. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but my brothers knew what was going on. It's the Chupacabra, my brother said. We came across another carcass, and it had the same 2 punctures on its stomach. My brothers were really creeped out, and we decided to get the hell out of there. We didn't tell our grandparents and acted like it never happened. 3 years passed. Now I was 11. I completely forgot about the Chupacabra incident, and I was living a normal life. My mom told us that we would visit my grandparents again with my older cousin. I was happy to see them after 3 years. We arrived, and it was normal. We visited Cancun and Mexico City. We went to the same cabin I went to 3 years ago. I started getting my memories back, and the Chupacabra incident was back in my head. It was nighttime. I decided to go to bed. While I was sleeping, I again was woken up by the scratching sound. I knew it was a Chupacabra. I looked out the window this time, not seeing anything. I blinked many times. I gave up and I decided to go back to bed. I was woken up again by twigs snapping outside. It was very loud, almost as if I had headphones on. I looked and I saw a creature that was hairless and skinny. The creature quickly ran away. The sun was rising and I noticed that my window had some claw marks. I had some breakfast and went outside. I went outside and saw broken twigs and sticks. Oddly, there weren't any footprints, but I returned to the tree that I saw 3 years ago and more claw marks were scratched on it. I told my brothers and my cousin who saw it too. We were all spooked out and we saw the carcass of a deer. Again, it had 2 punctures on its stomach. My cousin was dumb and went into the forest alone with a blade. It took him about 30 minutes to return. His face looked like he had witnessed somebody getting shot. He was as pale as a ghost and looked scared. What happened? I asked. He lifted up his arm and revealed a huge claw mark. He also had 2 red dots on his back, almost resembling the 2 punctures on the deer. To this day, my cousin still won't tell any of us what he saw or what happened when he went into the forest. I'm just glad he returned and was still alive. I'm not planning to go back to Mexico to see that Chupacabra again. To this day, I sometimes still hear the scratching and clawing marks that I heard when I encountered the Chupacabra at night. I'm just glad that none of us became its next dinner.
That's spooky.
Yeah. I mean,
it's funny to think about, though. I started laughing because I started thinking about, like, well, there's this naked, hairless, yeah, skinny creature, and all he's seeming to do is like break twigs and scratch
the window.
I'm gonna kill a deer out here.
What you doing in there, guys? What's going on?
Scratch.
Scratchy scratch. But, you know, like, that was, for a 16-year-old, that was pretty well written.
Absolutely. Well, he was even younger than that when all that stuff happened to him.
Oh, right? Yeah, he was like 8.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So there's this book called Tracking the Chupacabra by author Benjamin Radford.
I read this motherfucking book.
Okay. That's good, buddy. No, he actually studied.
Good for you, guy.
He actually studied and explored our little chups. And
did you just say chups?
I said that our little chups. Yep. He's our little chups.
He's just a little guy.
Yeah. This guy's pretty cool in the sense that he is local and he spends his time studying the paranormal from a scientific perspective. So I can really appreciate this. He is known to debunk so many myths and legends using science. He spent 5 years studying the Chupacabra and uncovering the different kind of claims of Chupacabra sightings.
Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, but I get up again, and you're never going to bring me down.
He spent 5 years studying the Chupacabra.
Pissing the night away.
You take a whiskey drink. You take a ball and
drink. You took a lager drink. Took a cider drink. Sorry, my bad.
No, I did it to you. It's okay.
You said Chumbawamba, so I had to.
We had to. And he sought evidence to try to substantiate the claims. And he said that all the eyewitness accounts were basically what they had seen in movies, such as Species. I don't know if you remember that flick.
Mm-hmm. I do. Species? I mean, I vaguely remember it. I remember there being some lady that was an alien in a tank or something. I don't know.
Alien in a tank?
Yeah, I feel like she was in some kind of like tank thing.
Okay.
It wasn't that memorable for me, so it must not have been that great of a movie.
Well, it came out in like 95, right? That's been a minute.
But I can probably
I think it's out on Netflix right now.
I can probably quote verbatim the entire movie of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. So
most people our age probably can.
Yeah.
Well, the creature in that movie looked nearly identical to eyewitness reports.
Oh.
So apparently this movie came out before everyone started talking about this cryptid creature. They describe the creature as having spines on its back, like I said, large eyes. But the original person that gave the testimony, Tolentino, said that she had seen the movie before her actual report.
Oh.
And said that it was a creature that, and I quote, it was a creature that looked like the Chupacabra with spines on its back and all. The resemblance to the Chupacabra was really impressive.
How convenient.
Yeah. The author, Benjamin, had concluded that the most important Chupacabra description cannot be trusted. He talks about this at great length in his book, and he states that it depends on who you ask. According to some, Chupy has wings or he doesn't. He has scales or he has fur. In other words, the descriptions of the creature vary so wildly depending on when and where it was allegedly sighted.
Mm.
So on top of all this, most of the reports of little chups killing animals were actually never even confirmed by a vet or any other kind of scientist or biologist.
That's my gang name.
Little chips.
Little chips.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
There's a shirt right there.
Oh, dude, we got to make a little Chup shirt.
Which means they were never really actually able to say that the victims were ever drained of their blood or not. They just reported that they were. So Radford decided that it was a good idea to separate the Chup's reports into two different books. So I'm just going to call Chupacabra Chups from now on.
Okay.
But anyway, one, that reports from South America where the animals had been killed and it is thought that they might have been drained of blood or not. And two, reports from North America where he mostly thought that the Chups were just doggos with mange.
Poor doggos.
Biologist Barry O'Connor from the University of Michigan had said that all of the reports from the U.S. were just coyotes and that had been infected with the parasite called
Sarcoptes.
Scabii, which could make sense because all the symptoms are very similar to what Chups looks like. You know, thick skin, little to no fur, and apparently they were very stinky. O'Connor thought that all these attacks on farm animals were done by these other critters because these animals were actually greatly weakened and they're going to have a hard time hunting. So they may have been forced into attacking livestock because it's easier than running down a rabbit or a deer. Boo! What a party pooper.
I mean, he's rained on our parade a couple of times. Well, not this guy, but the other guy, Radford. I think we should try to interview Radford because he's from here and he knows all the stuff.
Maybe he would. That'd be really kind of cool.
And all the things.
Uh-huh.
I bought 2 of his books, so that should be like enough to get him to interview with us. Okay, but like honestly, Alex, first of all, you're like major Debbie Downer right now.
It's not me. It's not me.
You keep bursting my bubble, and I'm holding you responsible. I'm shooting the messengers. What's happening here.
I'm a bucket of positivity, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're a poo bucket.
T-shirt.
So what you didn't explain in these alleged dogs with mange idea or theory is if they were dogs, why didn't they eat the animals? Why were there just 3 holes in their bodies? Like, I'm pretty sure dogs and coyotes aren't vampires.
That's what you thought.
Yeah. So what does your friend O'Connor have to say about that?
Well, here's what he said about that. I have a rebuttal. Both dogs and coyotes can kill and not consume their prey, either because they are inexperienced or due to injury or difficulty in killing the prey. The prey can survive the attack and die afterwards from internal bleeding or circulatory shock. The presence of these 2 holes in the neck, corresponding with the canine teeth, are to be expected since this is the only way that most land carnivores have to catch their prey.
All right. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I also don't understand how now you're saying 2 holes, but then everybody else was saying 3 holes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it a 2-hole punch? Is it a 3-hole punch? What kind of fucking hole punch are we talking about here?
There's always inconsistencies. There's always going to be inconsistencies, it seems.
Yeah.
But that doesn't just mean that they think that he thinks or they think that, there's no truth to some of it. So let's dig a little deeper.
Oh yeah, so deep. Like this deep, or like this deep.
Like this deep.
This is a statement by Tito Armstrong, and I don't know who that is, but this is what he said. For the non-Puerto Ricans among us, the Chupacabra is a creature that is currently rampaging through the island, relieving farm animals of their blood. As of yet, the Chupacabra, which...
How nice to relieve somebody of their blood.
Your blood is looking kind of heavy, so I'm going to relieve you of it.
Some kind of burden on them. Let me
go ahead and take that off your back so you can focus on other things like death.
Like dying now.
As of yet, the Chupacabra, which translates into goat sucker, has not attacked humans, although no one can say for certain that this will not happen in the future. The origin of its name comes from its earliest attacks, where goats were found with their blood drained and 2 peculiar puncture marks on their necks. There have been reports alleging that particular organs were missing from some of the victims' bodies, without any visible way for those organs to have been removed.
See?
That's kind of unexplainable. Sightings have increased as months go by, fueling paranoia and fear. Speculation has placed the Chupacabra as a resident of another galaxy, or a half-man, half-beast vampire who roams the countryside, terrorizing farm animals. Pervert. Others say that Chupacabra hops like a kangaroo and leaves a sulfur-like stench. Still others say that Chupacabra is a panther-like creature with red eyes and a long snake-like tongue. I, for one, think the truth may lie in the UFO area, my theory being that the Chupacabra is actually the pet panther, which hops like a kangaroo, of some irresponsible aliens who let it wander around. Like obnoxious relatives who let their children rampage through the house. The aliens have overstayed their welcome in our island.
Oh, wow. That's the best story ever.
I mean, it's a theory. I'll give him that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, alien pet panther. Cool.
Well, I mean, I laugh, but what if? And then now play some dramatic music. Okay. What if? All right, I got a story for you.
You're gonna leave me hanging like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Eric.
Hi.
I have a story for you.
Yay! Story time.
This is from Sunny Shiny 13.
Story time. Story time.
This is sighting number 1. My mother told me about this one. When she was a young child, my mother's family owned a lot of land. They had many horses and cows on the land and took care of them regularly. One morning, when everyone woke up, they went out to the pasture to feed the cows, to see damn near all of them slaughtered, completely drained of blood.
Relieved of blood.
It says drained, fool.
I know, I'm just...
Completely drained of blood and having this horrible, terrified expression on their faces. Yeah, I wish they could see your face right now. They were shocked and scared, so they decided to get on their horses and ride up into the wooded area to see if they could find whatever did this. Not too long after they started riding, a group of men in black came through and told them they needed to leave their property and get away from the area because there had been a Chupacabra incident. This story always weirded me out.
That's weird.
I find it interesting that they would say, hey, there's a Chupacabra in the area.
I also want to know if the men in black were Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith.
Well, next, you'll never know. Next is from my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend?
Well, this is her story. Him and his cousin were walking around one night. They started walking toward this big field, which is no longer there and now has a DMV in that location. How convenient. There was a big wooded area behind that field, and in the dead of night, they saw this dog-like creature. that started to walk towards them. They got frightened, and when it did, shot up these spiny things on its back and head. They turned for a second to see if anyone else was around, but by the time they looked back, it was gone, just that quick. It was so speedy, but they heard it run off, and they tried to look for it, but it was already gone too quickly.
Ugh. That's creepy.
Sure
I would be
enough.
freaked out. Yeah, I would be freaked out by that. I don't know. I don't think I ever want to see one of these things.
the alien panther?
Yeah, the alien pet panther.
Pet panther.
Relieving people of their blood. All right, I got another story for you.
Oh, tell me.
And this is from user on Reddit, O'Daggled. For some context, both my parents used to be school teachers. They are now retired and living the good life. And I've mentioned around some previous posts how both don't fall easily for anything out of the ordinary, and most often find a reasoning behind it. But with that said, there are times when they can't find a reason behind them because it would usually be pretty freakish. This line of thought helped them a lot when they began working, as they would be usually sent to places far deep into the forests of Mexico to teach kids. And let me tell you guys, that ain't an easy task. Back then, while not as violent as today, the main dangers were mostly the poor state of most routes going through these towns, along with the driving recklessness of farmers and wild animals that would usually cross these roads out of the blue. It wasn't very uncommon to have some accidents every now and then, but luckily for my mother, my dad had always had the nerves of steel for driving more than most people I know. Plus, he's a responsible driver. Not that my mom isn't, but she tends to go too fast at times. Now, usually my parents would stay in town that they were teaching at for the week, but as soon as Friday afternoon would roll in, they'd be going their merry way to the capital of my home state, which, before the improvement of those roads in the early 2000s, would translate to a road trip of at least 6 or 7 hours. They'd return every Sunday afternoon to the town during the school year, but one weekend, there was a big party in the neighboring town right across the mountain. A marriage between one of their friends and a local of the region, and for such, the bride's family decided to throw this big party during one Friday afternoon, going well into the night. My parents weren't initially considering going because the way home would be quite tedious, but because it was their friend, they decided to stay for the party, and thought that they could be leaving first hour in the morning. Besides, summer break was about to start, so they didn't have to rush to get back home. They could simply go for a few drinks and the ceremony, then begin driving to the next town, which was 1 or 2 hours away. They would stay there for the night and then get going. The town where the party was being held didn't have a place that they could spend the night in, so staying was out of the question. The party was good. They celebrated along with friends until way past their intended hour. They were considering just going back to the first town and trying to sleep for a bit to take the usual route, but it was already too dark to be safe, and in all honesty, the road to the next town they intended to go to for the night was in much better condition than the previous one. My parents found themselves driving to the next town before the sun would even show itself in the horizon, with almost no sleep, but they were used to it. As in their dating days, they'd go into road trips through almost all of Mexico. They would switch driving for long hours until they could find a good place to sleep before resuming their adventures. The sun began to show ever so slightly, and my dad was about to switch the highlights off until my mom, kind of alarmed, pointed at a big black animal that was seemingly running on the road in the opposite direction. At first, my dad thought it must have been a bear, when there were still wild bears there, and my mom thought it must have been a big deer because of how fast it was moving. But it was neither, and it was getting closer. My dad blasted the horn trying to scare the animal away, but it didn't work. At this point, they were getting unnerved, and my mom began to panic. The animal wasn't stopping. After many unsuccessful attempts to make this creature go away, my mom began to rush my dad to run over whatever was coming towards them. The animal was big.
Hit it.
The animal was big with dark skin, and no other features were clear as the thing was running way too fast. Faster than a normal animal. My dad was already unnerved. He decided to speed up, flashing his high beams in one last-ditch attempt, but still, the creature kept approaching them. They braced for impact, but the creature jumped and went past them somehow. When they arrived at the nearest town, they realized what had happened, but they both kind of pushed it back as possibly a deer or maybe a rogue bison. because of the size. They found a hotel, booked it, and stayed for the day to sleep. They decided to resume their trip the next day when they had more energy. It wasn't until midday when they woke up and went to the nearest restaurant to eat that they heard something very alarming. A man from the town they had just left in the middle of the night was sitting there paler than a sheet, saying that some of the people from the town where the party took place had woken up and returned home to find several animals dead in their farms, and their blood was completely gone, with 2 tiny holes in their bodies. My mom looked at my dad, and in that moment they both realized that the thing that they saw on the road was not a deer or a bison. To this day, my parents still say that whatever they saw on the road that night wasn't a known animal, and have never denied that it might have been the infamous Chupy Chups.
That's a good one. That's a long one.
It was a long one. It was good though, and it was creepy.
It was good. It was the rogue bison.
Rogue bison in the hills of Mexico, as it does. Does Mexico even have bison?
I'm sure at one point.
Okay, maybe.
You know?
I mean, they're like plains animals. They're not. There's no such thing as a mountain bison.
How do you know?
I guess I don't.
Once again, we are not experts on anything.
We know nothing.
We need to have a little reminder about that, people.
What's your theory, man? You always have a theory. So what is it?
I really want to say that I think that it's just a creature that we haven't spotted yet. But there it is. I think that is probably just misidentified.
Mass hysteria.
Well, I don't know what's going on with the whole puncture wound and draining blood thing. But I don't know if there ever really was any crazy proof of that.
There hasn't been any evidence of that. And you know what sucks too is like I couldn't find any New Mexico specific Chupacabra stories. But living here, you hear about it all the time.
Once again, no crazy evidence. I really think that it's probably just misidentification, unfortunately.
You don't think it's an alien panther pet?
Pet panther. Well, I guess there's always that possibility. I mean, the Pentagon's getting ready to say like, hey, we have ships from out of this world. It wouldn't surprise me if they were like, hey, and by the way, they released pet panthers. I don't think it's surprising anymore.
Well, and I think the thing that kind of baffles me is the idea of hundreds of animals being mutilated. Like, that's shocking.
Hundreds and hundreds at a time.
Yeah.
And that almost makes me kind of think, well, how would one Chup, I guess maybe it could be like a group of Chups. Well, a group of Chups. What would a group of Chupacabra be called? Like a suckling?
Good one.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what I think either. I mean, at this point, I would say that extraterrestrial origins doesn't seem that far off, but we, again, don't have proof of that either. But it's just weird. It's a weird story, and it's weird how, like, it became such a huge part of society and of culture and of, like, cultural legend and myth, especially in, like, Latin American countries and neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just took over from the 90s to be this big giant thing, but there's really like no real evidence of anything.
There's no real backing of it. I know. I always thought the Chupacabra story was an old story. I didn't realize that it had only popped out, in 95.
Yeah, me either. Which makes me question it. I don't know.
They got to start somewhere, right?
I guess so. But 95, I mean, why don't you pick 97? It was a better year.
Was it a good year?
I was 17. I had my driver's license.
That was a damn good year.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about it. I mean, I don't doubt that there's something killing these animals. I just don't know if we know what it is. The other thing that bothers me is like the different accounts of what it looks like and how they all conflict with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me too.
I'm wondering, I just kind of popped in my head that I wonder if something happened to these animals that had died in mass like this, like they got fed bad food or someone messed with their food to get back at them or something. They would kill their whole, livestock off. I don't know. And I can't imagine just like a wild dog or a mangy coyote going just biting. How many did they say? 350 or something?
Something like that,
yeah. Animals and just killing them and then just running off.
Yeah, like what do you have to gain from that? And then Skinwalker Ranch is another place where they have cow mutilations and all of those things that they think are extraterrestrial. I just don't know. It's weird. I'll give you that. It is weird and it's creepy and it's so far unexplained. But I just don't know if our buddy Chupalupa is a friend, if he's real.
Chupalupa? The Chupalupa.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was fun. I mean, I just feel sad again. Every episode, I'm like,
No, you know what though? I think that's what I kind of hopeful that maybe there is just this. We're explaining it away rather than just saying, you know what, it's out there. We just haven't spotted it yet.
Okay. Well, if you have a picture,
send it to me.
Send it to us so we can look at it, or video.
Tell us where to go, and maybe we'll go.
Yeah. Or if you have a story, or if you have like evidence, we want to know about it because I want all these things to be true.
So do I.
Because they're fun and they're fun to talk about. But I mean, not the animal.
It'd be kind of terrifying. I don't know if it'd be fun to actually have real chupacabras running around. It'd be fun. I'm like, ooh.
Well, it's fun to talk about it.
Well, for sure.
Yeah. The reality probably wouldn't be very fun.
Yeah, the real reality. I'm like, oh shit. Can't let your dogs out at night,
Yeah. Not a good. You're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Okay, so let's see here. If you are enjoying whatever the fuck this is, rate, subscribe, and review on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us out so much. It gets us in front of new listeners. The more reviews we get, the higher up we move in terms of being visible on all those podcatchers. And your recommendation means a lot. We've gotten a lot of really great reviews recently. We're very grateful for those. We are so appreciative of the feedback, and we are glad that you guys are enjoying the show.
Yeah, very much. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. Hey, also, Patreon. Support us. Help support this show. Help us keep it going. Help make it happen. We have links all over for it.
Yeah, patreon.com/Dos Pequeños. And
stay spooky.
Peace.
Peace.